Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's version of Talk to Our Expert series. My name's David Breslauer. Today, we're going to talk about adding content to your Merlin systems and different ways to accomplish that. As usual, we're going to keep this short and sweet, no more than 30 minutes. I am recording this session, so if you want to share this with your colleagues afterwards, it will be on the MerlinOne YouTube page. We will send out a link to it. We'll do our short presentation. Please feel free to ask your questions in the chat window, and your questions don't need to be related to today's topic. So we're going to talk about different ways to upload content to your Merlin digital asset management system. And the three ways that we're going to talk about today is using FTP software, that stands for File Transfer Protocol. Using our APIs, this is a new way to get content into Merlin. And also using the MerlinX web upload form, which is quite flexible and very powerful. And we'll talk about all three of those. So let's start out by talking about FTP software to upload to Merlin. You can use any FTP software. Some examples of that is programs Fetch, which is what I like to use. There's a free program on the internet called FileZilla. That also works quite well. And there are any number of other FTP applications that you can find online and use those to upload your content to Merlin. The advantage of using FTP software to copy files to your Merlin system is you can take advantage of the MIO queues or watched folders that are configured on your Merlin system and automatically add default metadata and watermarks. And there are other behaviors as well that you can take advantage of when you use FTP software to send to the Merlin MIO queues that you've created. So this is an example of what my demo server looks like when I connect with an FTP application. And you can see I've got a number of directories on my server: Demo 6, Demo 7, Demo 8, Joy, MSG, to Merlin. Most Merlins start out with only one or two of these default watched folders or import queues, but you can have as many of these queues as you like. And the advantage of having these queues is you can have our Merlin import application, it's called MIO, can watch each of these folders and do different things with the content that's uploaded to each of those folders. So for example, I'm actually looking at a screenshot of our MIO application, that stands for Merlin In and Out, and this watches the directories on the Merlin server and does different things when files show up there. So if you FTP files to Merlin, MIO can be set up to, for example, add metadata to specific fields, and that's the screen I'm showing you here. So for example, we can prepend values that might appear in the source field with MTW, or you can replace or add the keyword first in this example. And so you can actually update any field in Merlin automatically by having different metadata associated with each of these watched folders. So for example, you might have different departments within your organization, and so you could have each department upload to their own watched folder, and it would automatically tag the content as belonging to the department. You could also do things like create a upload watched folder for each of your photographers, and that way it would automatically add the photographer's name into the byline or author field in case the photographers aren't good about doing that themselves. And so that's the type of thing that you can do with adding metadata at the time of upload. The other thing that you can do, for example, is you can set your thumbnail size. So you can see here my default thumbnails have been set to be 1024 for the large thumbnails and 256 pixels for the small thumbnails, but that's configurable. So if you would like larger thumbnails because your users are starting to work on larger monitors, you may do that. Or you can choose smaller thumbnails because your users are trying to access Merlin with less than robust telephone or internet service, and so it might be useful to have smaller thumbnails that load a little bit more quickly. It's about finding balance. And finally, one of the other things you can do is you can add watermarks to your content at the time of upload. And a lot of our nonprofit customers in particular are adding watermarks. And so this is a way to preview what the watermark looks like once you've told Merlin to assign the watermark to this particular queue. And again, you can have different watermarks for different import queues or paths or watched folders. So each department could be watermarked differently. So that's a little bit about what MIO does. Some other things that you can do with MIO as part of the FTP upload process is if you upload a bunch of stuff and it's in a folder together, Merlin can link all of those items together so that they show up linked in the Merlin application. And that's a configuration that we can turn on for you in the MIO application. You can also tell Merlin how to handle zip files. So if you upload a zip document, Merlin can store the zip as a zip. That's one option. Or it can store the zip in its individual pieces. So basically it would unzip the file and store all the individual elements together. And thirdly, you could do a combination of A and B. So you could store the zip as a zip and store the bits and pieces. And get this, you can take care of linking and link all of that content together. So all the bits and pieces would be automatically linked to the original source zip file. So that could be particularly useful if you're storing InDesign packages inside of Merlin. So that's a little bit about uploading by way of FTP. Let's talk a little bit about uploading by way of our APIs. Now, this is our newest way to upload, and of course, in order to do this, our APIs have to be installed on your server, and you have to have been given access to the APIs. This is a simple API, and what it does is it allows you to, with some programming, upload to Merlin from other applications. For example, your customer relation manager or your web CMS system, your web content management system. So you could have content living in other places and from that other application say, hey, send this file to Merlin, and Merlin can do that. Okay, and so basically it would take the file from your CMS or from any other software that you might have running that can take advantage of APIs and upload files directly to Merlin. And the cool thing about doing it this way is, again, you can control the metadata. So you could create a custom form. And so if you wanted to update or modify any embedded metadata that may exist with the original file, you could have a metadata form to fill out, and you would be able to send that metadata along with the file, and Merlin would put the two bits and pieces together in Merlin. And so that's kind of a nice thing to be able to do. And again, as part of the API, you can select the MIO queue that you would send to for even further control. So we talked about uploading by way of FTP previously to specific MIO queues. And so you could direct your content to specific MIO queues from here as well, so that as you upload, in addition to the metadata that might be in the file and the metadata that might be in the form, you could also add additional tags because of the MIO queue that you have selected. So that's a little bit about our upload API. The reason I've talked about the upload API and FTPing in so much detail here is I'm not going to show those to you. Okay, I really can only talk about those. But what I am going to show you I'm going to show you how you can take advantage of our MerlinX web form as a great way to upload content to Merlin by using a form that's built in to our MerlinX web browser client. And this web browser form allows you to add metadata. It allows you to control what fields are visible to different classes of users. You can also control the field behavior. Is it a pick list? Is it a mandatory field? Is it a type ahead list? So you're controlling how people interact with the metadata. You can upload as many items as you like by way of drag and drop. And you can also use templates to speed up this process. And I'm going to show all of these to you. The other thing that's really nice is because MerlinX is available and is accessible from the browser on your tablets or your telephones, you can actually upload content directly from your phone using the MerlinX client on your phone, and you can upload content. So that's a cool thing. So what I thought I would do now is show you some different upload forms. So let's take a look at this one. So I'm logged in one way right now, and I'm showing you my upload form. And you can see that these are the fields that I've been provided. I've got the description or the caption field, and the creator or byline field, and the city, state. Notice my country field has a box around it, which means it's got special behavior associated with it. In this case, it's a type ahead. So as I start to type, it's going to pick from a list of controlled vocabularies. Okay. Same thing with group. If I start to type in here, it's going to show me everything with the letter M. In this case, it's only marketing, and I can add that. And notice my provider field behaves a little bit differently. It's a pull down pick list as opposed to a type ahead pick list. And so I can just drag and drop content into the right hand side of this and click the go button, and I would be able to upload any files that I would like to drag into here that have all of this metadata in common. So that's a nice thing to be able to, and it's pretty easy to manage. Now, let me show you this. I'm going to switch to another browser. Okay, so now I'm using a different browser, and I'm logged in to the same Merlin system, but as a different user. And so this particular user belongs to a different user group, which changes what they see in the upload form. So notice where it previously said description, it now says description or caption. And notice it has an asterisk after it, which means it's a required field. I have to complete this form. So if I try to upload something, it's going to, so I'm going to go, actually, I'm not going to upload right now. I would have to fill out all of the mandatory fields. So I would have to add a caption. Okay, and I would have to add something into the group field. And so those are my only two. Oh, my author field is also required down here at the bottom. So I would have to type the author's name in here or the byline. And again, you can see it's got a different label here than it did from the other user, even though it's the same Merlin. And also take a look at this. I've got all of these fields available for this particular user. Now, it's been my experience that the more fields you list, the more non-compliant and less cooperative your users will be. So I think it's a good idea to trim this list down to the fewest number of fields that you need in order to make your data useful, but so that your users don't mind filling out the data. Okay, so I wanted to show this to you. You can rearrange the fields on here. So if you'd like to drag and drop them, you can rearrange the order. And the other thing that's really cool is you can add templates. So for example, to speed data entry, I'm going to load my list of templates. In this case, I only have a few, and I'm going to choose this template. And notice it pre-populated my description or caption, and it pre-populated the marketing group, and it put my name in the author field, and my name in the contributors field, and my name in all of these other fields, and it added the terms rights restricted, category is A, Park City, Utah, United States of America. That was all part of the template. And so you can create templates to help speed your data entry. So that's a really nice thing to be able to do. Okay, I know we didn't have many folks on the call today. It's rather a small group today, and I know we've got the holidays coming up. That's pretty much what I wanted to share with you. If you have any questions, fire away. Okay, then. So we've kept today's session even shorter and sweeter. So let that be my holiday gift to you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, season's greeting, etc. to everybody on the call. And we look forward to seeing you again in 2017. Thanks, everybody.